Hiding just off the coast of the Pacific Northwest, there's a geologic time bomb. It's called the Cascadia Subduction Zone. And according to the federal government, it is one of the single greatest natural disaster threats in the entire United States. So in this explainer, we're going to look at why scientists are so incredibly concerned, and maybe more importantly, what the official plan is for when this thing finally goes off.
Okay, so the Cascadia Fault is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is responsible for something like 90% of all the world's earthquakes. Now, if you look at this map, all those little red circles, those are major earthquakes just in the last 50 years. But do you see that one glaring gap right there over the Pacific Northwest? It's been quiet, really eerily quiet. And let me tell you, in geology, a long silence on a major fault line is not a good thing. It just means pressure is building up.
And this isn't just a local concern, not by a long shot. This quote? This is pulled directly from FEMA's official response plan. So when the actual agency in charge of disaster response says an event is going to have national consequences for years to come, that means the scale is almost unimaginable. We're talking about a disaster that would cripple major tech hubs, sever vital West Coast ports, and send shockwaves through the entire U.S. supply chain.
Which of course leads to the core question here. We know the threat is absolutely massive. We know the stakes are national. So what is the plan, right? I mean, how does the government even start to prepare for a catastrophe on this scale? Let's dive in.
All right, first things first, we need to understand the giant itself. Let's take a look at the geology, at what's really happening just a few dozen miles off the coasts of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. So here you can really see the mechanics at play. You've got this dense oceanic plate, the Juan de Fuca plate, and it's constantly trying to slide or subduct underneath the lighter North American continental plate. But here's the thing, it's not a smooth ride. For centuries, these two plates have been stuck, locked together, and all that time they've been building up an absolutely incredible amount of strain. So when that strain is finally released, it's not going to be some small tremor, it's going to be a full-blown megathrust earthquake. And that's the key term here, a subduction zone earthquake. These are the titans of the seismic world. I mean, think of the 2004 Sumatra earthquake that caused that horrible tsunami, or the massive 1964 Alaska quake. The Cascadia Fault is the exact same type of structure, and it's capable of producing the world's longest and most powerful earthquakes. And here's the wild part. We have a startlingly precise idea of when the last big one actually hit. Geologic evidence tells us the last full rupture event was in the year 1700. We even know the date, January 26th, and that's because it sent its tsunami all the way across the Pacific to Japan, where, luckily for us, they kept meticulous records. Now, the average time between these massive events is about 350 to 500 years. It's been over 320 years. We are squarely in the window. The USGS puts the odds of it happening in the next 50 years at up to 12%. So, with all that science as a backdrop, let's pivot to the official government plan. FEMA created this incredibly detailed scenario, not to scare people, but to have a realistic, data-driven framework for their response. This is what they actually expect to happen.
The first number you have to wrap your head around is the duration of the shaking itself. 5 full minutes. Just think about that. Most earthquakes you hear about last for, a few seconds? 5 minutes is an eternity. It's the length of an entire song. It's long enough for even modern, earthquake-resistant buildings to potentially fail. The sheer length of the shaking is what makes this event so uniquely destructive.
And as soon as that shaking finally stops, a whole new clock starts ticking. The seafloor is going to thrust upward, generating a massive tsunami. And for communities right on the coast, the warning time to get to high ground will be just 10 to 30 minutes. That's it. And remember, they have to do that on roads that will have just been completely destroyed by the earthquake.
The human toll, as projected by this plan, is just staggering. They estimate nearly 6,000 fatalities from the earthquake itself, and then another 8,000 from the tsunami waves that follow. That's a total of almost 14,000 lives lost in a single morning. And the economic devastation would be just as catastrophic. The plan estimates $134 billion in total economic losses, and that includes everything: shattered buildings and infrastructure, lost jobs, lost wages, you name it. This is what FEMA means when they say national consequences.
But believe it or not, the earthquake and the tsunami, they're just the beginning. The real challenge for planners is what comes next: a complete societal breakdown, what they refer to as cascading failure.
So, to manage this chaos, planners divide the whole region into 3 distinct zones. First, you've got the coastal zone, which they expect to be almost completely destroyed and totally isolated. Then you have the I-5 corridor, where cities like Seattle and Portland are, which will be heavily damaged. And finally, you've got the area east of the Cascade Mountains, which will become the crucial staging ground for the entire response.
The primary goal, the #1 mission of the response, is to stabilize what FEMA calls the 7 community lifelines. These are the absolute basic services that make society function. And in the immediate aftermath, all 7 of them are expected to be completely severed. No power, no water, no phones, no roads, no fuel. Everything gone.
I mean, just look at the projected damage to the transportation lifeline alone. Over 6,800 highway bridges damaged, nearly 100 airports affected, hundreds of port facilities totally wiped out. The region will be physically cut off from the rest of the world, and internally, it's going to be fragmented into these isolated pockets of survivors.
Okay, I know. That scenario is absolutely overwhelming. But technology is offering a new tool to help mitigate some of this damage. It's called the Shake Alert Earthquake Early Warning System.
Now, it is crucial to understand what this is and what it is not. Shake Alert is not earthquake prediction, okay? We still can't predict when a quake is going to happen. What it does is detect an earthquake the instant it starts, and it sends out an alert that travels faster than the shaking itself.
So here's how it works. It's actually pretty cool. An earthquake releases 2 types of waves. The first is a really fast-moving but non-damaging P wave. Sensors on the ground detect this wave, instantly analyze it, and then shoot out an alert at the speed of light. Seconds later, the slower but much more destructive S wave, the actual ground shaking, arrives. And that little gap, that's your warning.
Now, this system is a game changer, but it's not perfect yet. It's still being built out. For instance, the sensor network is only about 65% complete in Washington, and there are still challenges in getting the alerts to everyone's mobile phones fast enough. So it's a work in progress, but it's already an incredibly vital tool.
So all of this amazing technology really brings us back to the individual. To you. What can you actually do with just a few seconds of warning? Well, as it turns out, you can do a lot.
It might not seem like much time at all, but those precious few seconds can literally be the difference between life and death.
For you, personally, it's enough time to drop, cover, and hold on, which is still the single best thing you can do to protect yourself from falling debris. But the real power, the real magic, is in automation. Seconds are enough for systems to automatically slow down trains, to open fire station doors so they don't get jammed shut, to tell surgeons in an operating room to pull back their scalpels, and to close huge valves on major water and gas lines to prevent fires and preserve resources. So look, the science is clear and the federal plans are pretty sobering. A massive earthquake on the Cascadia Fault isn't a matter of if, but when. And technology like Shake Alert is giving us a few precious seconds to react, which really leaves just one question for every single person living in the region. Are you ready?